Hello. Today I want to show you how you can use human design to of deepen your self-knowledge, but also your knowledge of astrology, which is the same thing in my world. So how do you bring human design into your chart, your astrological chart? And it's really, this is not about how to interpret it. It's just like, as it never really is for me on my tutorial, it's more like the tools, like how where to go to find information that you can then bring into your chart and then see what that information, when you do bring into your chart, does to your chart as per you. So that's kind of in essence what, but I'm just kind of giving you tools if, like how to go about it, like step by step. So let me first say a few words about human design. I mean, I'm no expert. I've discovered it a year and a half ago, and it's been such an amazing tool to add on to my to expand my understanding on my planets, on my chart, and to deepen it, to widen it, to broaden it. It's just been amazing. And another amazing thing about human design is that it's so if astrology tells us or speaks to who we are, um, human design speaks to how we are. So I love that distinction. I find, to me, it's very meaningful to distinguish it that way, because human design is not. There are archetypes, and you'll see there is astrology and all that, but it's essentially energetic. It's like how you're living your human design, how you check in with yourself. Is just there is no myth, there is no archetypal story that you wanna, that you feel like you're playing a part of. This is just energetic, your energetic blueprint and your energetic signature. Is this your energy, or is this someone else's energy? It's such a sort of lean and mean tool in my view. Anyway, I love it. I just love it, and I love how it complements astrology. So it's a modality, let's call it, that was brought to to people's awareness in the 80s. I think someone, I don't know his name, but he's known as Rahu, I think, or something. It doesn't matter. He just downloaded all this information and started teaching it, and till he died. And it's called human design, and it's basically a modality that brings together ancient Chinese, shall I say, philosophy? I think I could say philosophy, or again another modality, wisdom. So it's ancient Chinese called I Ching, and it's these hexagram, as you can see here, around the outer side of this circle. That's what they stand for. And so he brings that, and he brings astrology. And I'll show you how. Well, not how, but yeah. And so that you see the signs: Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, etc. And then the middle part of the circle of the colorful little squares are those 64. That's actually, they do really correspond to the hexagrams, those I Ching hexagrams. There are 64 of them, and they're archetypes as well. And yeah, so they form basically the basis of human design. And then this is the chart, the middle piece of that sort of human circuitry. And you have 9 centers, all the squares and triangles, etc., in color. I don't. This is kind of why I'm not an expert. But I don't think you can have a chart where every single, or maybe you can. No, in fact, I'm sure you can. Yeah, I don't know anyone who has every single center colored. But hey, doesn't matter. Meaning, you can, if you have them defined, that's what they're called when they're colored. That means you have a constant source of energy that you emit. It's always available to you. Well, it's not necessarily. Like, for instance, the very bottom here, root, so-called, has a pulsating energy, and so it's pulsing, so it's not going to be, there will be bleeps in between, for instance. And then this here, the triangle here, it's emotional center. It has waves, so it has ups and downs, etc. So yeah, but it's essentially, it's your energy. It's like you are emitting it. It's like it's a circuitry of yours that it's it's that where the spark is, yeah, like a switch. You have the access to the switch. But if you in a chart where you don't, the areas where you don't have color, that's called open or undefined. That is, you act as an echo chamber, and you amplify, particularly like, so if you have this open, the solar plexus or the emotional center open, and you're next to a person who has that in this color, like defined, you would be amplifying what they're feeling. And if you had ever had those conversations where someone just pours their heart out to you and they seem so upset, and you are like, oh my God, this is just awful or something, and you just start crying before they even finished or something, and they're looking at you like, what's wrong with you? It's like, well, you're kind of so empathetic towards them, but they're like, oh, it's fine, I'm okay, just they don't seem ever to kind of match your experience of their emotion. And I speak from experience. I have this open, and quite a few people in my life in the past had that defined, and that, yeah. So that is typically the experience. So you amplify the other centers that are coming to you that are defined, and just generally you're open and you amplify energies around you. Simple as that. So it's a more challenging thing to have the open centers in many ways, as in you kind of almost like a vessel for a conduit, and like a magician in tarot, you really need to kind of be master of all four elements in order to kind of all these types of energies coming at you. So it's a bit of a handful. But yeah, so that's a chart. And so in terms of human design, again, just the last piece here. So that guy in the 80s who started the whole thing, there is his school, and there is a resource I'll show you, which is fantastic. I hope they'll keep going because it's amazing. And it's so thorough for all of these 64 gates. As the sun moves around the zodiac, as it were, around the skies or Earth, or we move around it, whatever. It documents it kind of, just literally, I'll show you what I mean. It's just so precise and so amazing. So that resource will be for human design part of this modality. But there was someone called Richard Rudd who was part of that school to begin with, and then they parted ways because he kind of started having his own kind of way of seeing the whole teaching and the concept. And he went on his own, like I say, and created, I don't know, he basically is known for his gene keys. And personally, I'm an absolute fan. I swear by gene keys. I have the book and I just love it. It's so beautifully written. And there is such a incredible difference in writing from the original founder, if you like, and Richard Rudd. It's just like two languages, even though they're not. But yeah, if you get into this, you will see what I mean. And so there is human design, and there is gene keys. They're, like I say, rooted in the same principles, but they speak different language about the same archetypes. And I personally find language, as we are all learning since Pluto-Saturn conjunction, that is so important in defining our reality. So I prefer to define my reality via Richard Rudd's language, because it's something about it activates me and it just goes deep. Okay, and so this is a chart. This is my chart, just for as an example. So if you're interested in doing this, it kind of using human design for your astrology, this is what you want to do. You want to go to a Jovian archive. I'll give a link in the description. Create your own chart, and this is what you'll get. Make sure you download the PDF when you get to the page. Otherwise, well, yeah, you'll have to keep doing it or save the page. I don't know. But I have a PDF because that's how it's with me all the time. And this is what it will look like, what you get. And basically at the top here is your type generator. So none of this, all of this you can Google. This is, like I said, not my thing. I only know about myself. And so yeah, I'm not going to go into that. But what I want to talk about is this. So here you see all the planets: Sun, Earth, Moon, North Node, South Node, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune. And the other side here. Now, there are two sides, and I'm not clear yet as what exactly is the difference. The sort of theory that so far I understand is that the black side, the personality side, is your birth, as we would say in astrology, like, so in my case, 6th of May, 1969. So that's that day, this is what happened. The black column is the actual birthday of mine as I know it. But this one is 80 so days before, so it's like I'm almost like 15 degrees Aquarius sun. And I even created a chart, even though it's not an exact chart because I don't know the time. I worked it out. I can't remember how I worked it out, but I did. Just to kind of have a look. Basically, you essentially kind of have two charts, and that's really fascinating as well. So it's almost like I started to notice the correlations between Aquarius and Taurus and in me, and that's then supported with again with other stuff in my chart, but also my life and all the rest. So it's like, it's all echoed. It's not like you discover something you never knew. You just find the language for things you knew all along. You just didn't have the language for. That's what these adding new modalities to your maybe main one, like in my case, astrology, is what the purpose of this is essentially. But yeah, so just bear in mind that there are two essentially charts. And like I say, I don't know how you exactly work them out, the second one, but like I say, I'm just gonna play around so I can show you this actually. You can try, so 13 is here. So you saw that I had the red sun was 13. So 13 looks like it's, so you kind of, you see the degrees here? So it looks like it's between, I think that's how I did it, kind of very pedestrian. I think it's between 15 and 20, or, yeah, 25, 30, yeah, between 15 and 20. And yeah, so you kind of, where your other sun is, between 15 and 20, of Aquarius in that case. So you see what I mean? You look at the, and then it says, hold on, it says actually there is a line. This is the piece there is a line 5, 13, 5, and you can figure that out this way by going to this Instagram page, which is fantastic. That's the one I said, it's so amazing. Like daily he posts, or she, I don't know who it is, information, like new movement transits basically. So you basically look for 13, you go all the way down, and I said it was 13.5. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to scroll down, but basically let's say it was 29. Okay, let me see, let's say it was 29 line 29.3, right? And you saw 29 and you just, yeah, and you found it 29.3. We enter gate 29.3 at 21.25, August 18th. So your sun is between 21.25 UT, which is universal time, on August 18th. And then you go back to, so 29, let's see what the next thing, no, sorry, 29.3. And then, so it's basically your birthdays between, your other birthdays between 20 something on the 18th of August till 20 something on 19th of August. So that's kind of how I drew my map, and it was just, like I say, it was pedestrian. It's like, it wasn't exactly, precise, but it was so fascinating because it changes. It changes, even though Pluto still stays in Virgo in my case. It's and it could possibly change signs in your case if in the 80s or days it did change signs, but that's not. But here it changes quite. It changes basically. It was a 47.6 archetype, and then here is 6.3. So it just gives so much richness and layers to your planet, your natal chart. It's just phenomenal. So that's one thing to do. The other thing is to just basically consider, so let's say again sun, what's just fascinating, or was from when I discovered it, I was just mesmerized by it and just hooked. So my sun is in Taurus, let's say, or wherever your sun is, right? And we know what sun in Taurus is, let's say, and I know, and I know the traits, and on my own version of it, my own actual sun in Taurus, and it's because it's aspects what it does and where it is, and but then you read this 2.3, for instance, again in the resource I just showed you. I am recording. Okay. Um, and it's like, what is that? You just don't, yeah, it's not Taurus. It's not Taurus, or it's not, at least the way I understand it. And that is the beauty. Then you sort of sit with that and just, this is a sun and it's Taurus time, and there's this storyline around this archetype in terms of I Ching and in terms of human design or Gene Keys. And it's just fascinating. And you start, it's like it opens some cracks, in like shatters a little bit your kind of identity in a way, and just a little bit, and it's like, okay. But you don't, none of this is obviously forceful, in the sense you don't, if something doesn't resonate, but if something intrigues you, that's a good sign, even if it's like in curiosity based on just curiosity, not because you think you relate to it, or you think you can relate to it, but you just seem curious by it. And I even remember, maybe not for the sun, but there were a couple of instances where I genuinely just don't know how that relates to, let's say, my Mercury in Gemini. But I just love it. I just resonate with it. And that's it. And it's almost like at this point it goes past everything, even human design. It's kind of becomes irrelevant for me, at least, because if it didn't resonate with my astrology, then it just happens to be resonating with human design. It's like, it's not, I don't know, it doesn't seem fail safe, of what's the word, foolproof or something, to be giving importance to which school of thought or which modality this belongs to. It just becomes this piece of your story that up until that point, like I say, wasn't, you couldn't place it anywhere, because, or rather, you couldn't give it context and framework within astrology or within whatever you use to kind of, understand yourself, hang yourself on temporarily. You just all of a sudden found something that you might be hanging on this particular hanger, but it doesn't matter. You just found it. You will take it, and which hanger it came from, it doesn't matter anymore. It just was this something that it lit you up, because, oh yes. And it's just almost like it's a kind of a permission thing, I think, as well. Or it's a louder, a clearer expression of you. It becomes, once you kind of find those little definitions. At least that's how it works for me. Maybe that's my moon in 9th house. So that's basically the one thing you can do. Just read on that page that I showed you, or in Gene Key book. So this would be a Gene Key 2, Gene Key 1, Gene Key 58, Gene Key 25, Gene Key 46, because Gene Keys don't have point, in the book of Gene Keys doesn't talk about third line, fifth line, second line, the those numbers after the dot, just talks about the first numbers. So read that, and you will just start to get curious how that relates to the sun as you knew it astrologically up until that point. And then another great way, back to this, and I'm sorry this screen is being turned upside down, but I have no way of making this landscape. So you go back on this page and just watch for, because what he's doing, I think it's a he, I spoke to him once. Okay, sorry. So here, for instance, on one day ago, we enter gate 18, line 6 at 7:02 on October 1st, 2020. What this means, Sun has entered this gate and this line. Entered, gate 18, line 6. Before then was also gate 18 by line 5. And what that means, it's that Sun, so let's say you have a planet on 8.6 or 18 gate line 6, this at this moment Sun would be conjunct that planet. So yes, I'm sure astrologically you're also paying attention, but if you are doing that kind of work, obviously. But here's another way to add a layer to it. So read what, find out and dive a little bit into this, what that means. There's usually about 3 posts on that same page 104. So there are 4 posts on this one. And these are all, I think this is transcription of his lectures of that Rahu guy, or Ra, I'm not sure what his name is. But yeah, so that you see, it's such a, I don't, yeah, it's a strange way of writing. That's why I think it's probably someone just taking notes of what he was saying. It's such a, I don't know. I really don't enjoy reading it, but it's full of gold in terms of information and just some wisdom there as well, and all kinds of, goodies. But yeah, it just doesn't flow for me. But gene keys are just phenomenal. So yeah, you have 4 pages of this. So if you're 18, gate 18.6 line 6, I mean, then you'll have quite a lot to consider on top of transiting Sun conjuncting that planet of yours. And that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you, just to show you where and how you can get information to bring into your astrology, your own astrological work, your work with your chart, and in the process deepen your self-knowledge. So hopefully this was helpful, and I shall see you next week when I plan to do similarly about another modality, so tarot. I want to kind of share a few ideas, few suggestions of how you can, or rather how I use tarot in what's the word, in combination with astrology. And yeah, so stay tuned for that for next week. Take care. Bye.